The Sound of Silence. They began in a cramped apartment that smelled of roasted coffee and ambition. Elias worked double shifts at the warehouse, his hands calloused and tired, so that Clara could focus on her final exams. Back then, every dream was a shared one, whispered into the pillows at night. He was the foundation upon which she built her ladder to the stars. Years passed, and the ladder reached its destination. Clara's career skyrocketed, her salary eventually tripling his. With the wealth came a new version of her, one that moved with a sharp, clinical efficiency. One afternoon, Elias returned home to find their old, sagging armchair on the curb. In its place stood a sleek, cold sculpture of a chair he hadn't chosen and didn't find comfortable. The changes weren't just in the decor, they bled into the rhythm of their family. Without a conversation or a single, "What do you think?" Clara moved their daughter Mira to an elite private academy across the city. Elias only discovered the change when he arrived at the old school gates to find Mira's cubby empty and her name removed from the roster. At the dinner table, the air grew thin. When Elias spoke about his day or shared an observation, Clara's eyes remained fixed on her phone or her laptop. He became a background character in a story she was rewriting in real time. He wasn't a partner. He was a legacy inhabitant of a life that no longer required his input. The house grew taller, colder, and more polished with every promotion she received. Elias began to feel like a smudge on a pristine window. He walked softly on the new marble floors, afraid to leave a footprint in a home where his presence felt increasingly like an oversight. He was a ghost, haunting his own hallways. Slowly, the protests died in his throat. He stopped asking why, and he stopped suggesting maybe. A heavy, dangerous silence settled over him. It wasn't the silence of peace or agreement. It was the silence of a man who had realized that his words were falling into a void, and he had finally run out of things to say. Clara mistook his quiet for submission. She enjoyed the lack of friction, the way her decisions glided through the house without resistance. She thrived in the stillness, never pausing to wonder why the man who used to make her laugh had become a shadow that simply moved from room to room. On a gray Sunday afternoon, while the house hummed with the sound of the expensive climate control system, Elias gathered the few things that truly belonged to him. He didn't take the designer suits Clara had bought to upgrade his look. He took his old books, a few